Beneath the golden sands of Egypt, where the sun casts eternal shadows on stone giants, something extraordinary has begun to surface. The Giza Plateau, home to the mighty pyramids, has long been considered a silent witness to ancient brilliance. But now, after thousands of years, it's whispering secrets again. It all began when a group of international researchers, composed of Italian and Scottish archaeologists, returned to Giza with a new mission. Armed with advanced ground-penetrating radar. They were searching not for treasure, but for the truth. What they uncovered stunned even the most skeptical minds. Buried deep beneath the stone bones of the pyramids were cylindrical anomalies. Perfectly vertical shafts, 8 in total, extending downward, some as deep as 650 meters. To grasp the scale, that's deeper than 2 Eiffel Towers stacked end to end. These weren't natural cavities. The radar data revealed precise geometry, smooth walls, spiral pathways wrapping downward, designs that screamed intention. For decades, scholars believed the Giza Plateau had revealed most of its secrets. From the Great Pyramid of Khufu to the Sphinx's mysterious smile, Egyptologists had mapped its grandeur inch by inch. But this discovery shattered that belief. These cylinders weren't mentioned in ancient texts. They weren't part of any known burial chamber or ventilation system. They were something else entirely. The team called in engineers, geophysicists, and structural analysts. Early simulations suggested the shafts could lead to interconnected chambers. 2 of them seemed to end in massive cubic voids roughly 80 meters wide. That's nearly the size of a modern airplane hangar. The idea that such massive spaces could exist under Giza, without any historical record, sparked a wave of questions. What were these cylinders for? Why build downward when the pyramids soared upward? The mystery only deepened as the team dug deeper, both literally and metaphorically. They started analyzing the magnetic field variations around the structures. To their surprise, each cylindrical shaft distorted the surrounding magnetic field, as if absorbing or redirecting it. This wasn't random. It hinted at function, perhaps energy storage, transportation, or even communication. Theories began to flow like the Nile in flood season. Some said the cylinders could be part of an ancient power system, echoing theories proposed by fringe researchers for decades. Others believed they were entrances to forgotten cities or religious complexes. One bold suggestion proposed they were symbolic constructs, meant to mirror the cosmos underground as the pyramids did, above. But speculation aside, there was one undeniable truth. These structures were not natural. They were built with purpose. The researchers pushed for excavation. They secured permits, collaborated with the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities, and began initial drilling near one of the less famous pyramids. Just meters beneath the surface, their drills struck something unexpected: stone. Not just any stone, highly polished basalt arranged in rings. It wasn't rough like foundational material. It was decorative, deliberate, and pristine. The rings formed a spiral descent reminiscent of a DNA helix. As they descended, they found narrow niches in the walls, each containing strange carvings. Not hieroglyphics, not any known ancient script, but flowing lines and geometric symbols unlike anything found in Egyptology's catalog. The discovery caught the world's attention. Media outlets exploded with headlines: underground city beneath Giza, secret shafts hidden for millennia, ancient tech or religious marvel. Social media fed the frenzy. Some claimed the structures were Atlantean, others said they proved contact with extraterrestrials. Amid the noise, the researchers pressed forward, trying to maintain scientific rigor. Then came the moment that changed everything. At the bottom of the first excavated cylinder, they uncovered a sealed chamber door. It wasn't wooden or stone. It appeared metallic, yet didn't corrode. Carbon dating wasn't conclusive. It didn't belong to any known metallurgy of the dynastic periods. The door had no handles, only a circular groove in the center. When one of the researchers touched it, it hummed, not loud, not mechanical, more like a resonance, a vibration that could be felt more than heard. Equipment started glitching, batteries drained quickly, cameras malfunctioned. But the groove slowly lit up, pale blue. They were standing at the threshold of something unknown, something not written in any scroll or carved on any wall. The silence of the pyramids had been broken, and the deeper they went, the stranger it became. The circular groove on the strange metallic door continued to glow, pulsing gently like the rhythm of a heartbeat. The researchers stood frozen. This was not an ordinary archaeological moment. It felt like the boundary between two realities. They called in reinforcements. Engineers, linguists, physicists. No one could identify the alloy. It wasn't iron, bronze, or copper. It didn't rust. It didn't scratch. It was cold to the touch. Always the same temperature, even in the scorching Egyptian heat. Eventually, they brought in a resonance engineer, someone specializing in acoustic frequencies and vibrational patterns. When she played specific frequencies using a small generator, something remarkable happened. The door responded, not by moving, but by vibrating in sync with certain tones. After hours of testing, they isolated a specific frequency range that triggered a mechanical reaction. With a low, smooth rotation, the door began to unwind like a camera lens, revealing a pitch-black corridor that descended at a steep angle. Lights were lowered in. Cameras were sent down. The footage revealed more spiraling pathways, geometric markings, and, most importantly, evidence of human passage. Not recent, ancient, dust undisturbed for millennia, but not untouched. The team entered. The air was dry but breathable. The walls were lined with a black mirror-like material that reflected light strangely, stretching and warping reflections like a funhouse mirror. They descended slowly, methodically, leaving markers behind to ensure they could return. After a 30-minute descent, the path opened into a massive underground chamber, one of the cubic voids detected by radar. It was breathtaking. Imagine a cathedral hidden in the earth. Towering columns made of a metallic obsidian-like material rose into a ceiling lost in shadows. The floor was covered in a grid of circular depressions, and in the center of the room stood an object unlike anything found in traditional Egyptian archaeology, a large vertical cylinder, smooth, seamless, and faintly glowing. It stood about 4 meters tall. Symbols spiraled around its surface. Again, not hieroglyphics. Some bore a resemblance to Sumerian cuneiform or early Phoenician alphabets, but no match was found. It emitted no sound, no heat, only that steady pale glow. They called it the core. Linguists tried to decipher the symbols. Mathematicians analyzed the spiral. One pattern repeated consistently, sets of 3, interrupted by 5, then 13. It aligned with the Fibonacci sequence, found throughout nature from nautilus shells to galaxies. Was it a code, a calendar, a message? One theory proposed that the cylinder was a type of data storage. Another suggested it was a power conduit. A third claimed it was a resonant archive, storing not physical data, but vibrational memory, like sound or even thought. It was then that something even more astonishing occurred. One of the junior researchers, fatigued and overwhelmed, sat near the cylinder and closed her eyes. Within minutes, she reported hearing voices, not external but internal, not words exactly but impressions, emotions, concepts, as if the structure was trying to communicate, not with language, but with resonance. Others tried, similar results. The phenomenon was recorded, measured, even mapped via neural scanners. Brainwave activity spiked into unusual patterns. Gamma waves associated with intense cognition, dreaming, and sometimes moments of epiphany. Were they hallucinating? Or had they tapped into something deeper? The Egyptian authorities grew nervous. Rumors spread. The site was sealed temporarily, but the data had already leaked. Some within the global scientific community demanded transparency. Others called for immediate shutdown. Religious groups claimed the structure was divine or demonic. In the midst of this chaos, a second chamber was opened. It mirrored the first, but the central cylinder was different. This one was broken, cracked down the middle, and around it, skeletal remains. Dozens. Their positions were unnatural, curled, collapsed, faces twisted as if caught in fear or awe. Carbon dating suggested they were over 4,000 years old. But there was no sign of ritual burial, no treasures, no amulets. Only one thing. Each skull had a small hole drilled into the forehead, perfectly round, same diameter, same depth. And in some cases, small traces of the same unknown metal from the door. Were these priests? Scientists? Victims? What were they doing down here? The broken cylinder was no longer glowing. But when the researchers approached, their sensors picked up residual electromagnetic readings. It had once been active. Whatever had happened had been sudden. The leading theory? The cylinder may have been mishandled, its resonance disrupted. And if these structures truly interacted with the mind, perhaps what they released overwhelmed those who were unprepared. This wasn't just archaeology anymore, it was something else. And then came the message. One of the researchers, who had spent the most time near the active cylinder, began having vivid dreams. In them, she saw symbols, lights, and sounds that pulsed like music. She began drawing them obsessively. When overlaid with the carvings on the cylinder's surface, a pattern emerged, a star map, but not of Earth's sky. The coordinates pointed to a binary star system, Zeta Reticuli, the same system famously associated with UFO lore, including the 1961 Barney and Betty Hill abduction case, and dozens of accounts since. The implications were staggering. Was this just coincidence? Had ancient Egyptians encountered knowledge or beings from beyond our world? Was the purpose of the pyramids not simply to honor gods or house kings, but to guard something deeper? As the world held its breath, the team prepared for one final descent. Below the second chamber, they detected a final passage. Narrow, hidden, shielded by what appeared to be magnetized stone. What lay beyond was unclear, but the signs were there. This wasn't just a tomb, it was a vault, and whatever had been sealed inside had remained untouched for thousands of years, until now. The entrance to the final chamber was unlike anything the team had encountered. It was carved from a single sheet of what appeared to be magnetized stone, dark gray, smooth as glass, yet reacting subtly to metallic tools and even human proximity. When they brought standard excavation equipment close, compasses spun wildly, and electronic devices failed. It was as if the chamber repelled modern intrusion. With no other choice, they turned to traditional methods, chisels, hand tools, and patience. After several hours of delicate work, they located a seam. The stone wasn't a wall, it was a door. But again, no hinges, no handles. Only a narrow slit lined with a coppery alloy. Then came a sound. Not loud, not obvious. A low hum that filled the bones, not the ears. A resonance like the deep drone of a temple chant. The copper slit lit up, first orange, then gold. The vault was opening. A hiss of pressurized air escaped. The scent that followed was ancient. Dust, minerals, something unfamiliar. The opening revealed a spiral descent, narrower than the ones before, surrounded by polished stone etched with more of the unknown symbols. But this time, the walls pulsed gently with internal light, as if the very material was alive. They descended in silence. What they found below defied every rule of archaeology. The final chamber was spherical, approximately 60 meters across. In the center hovered a structure, not resting, not supported, hovering. It was a massive metallic ring, 8 meters wide, suspended in air by no visible means. Within the ring shimmered a translucent field, like rippling water caught in moonlight. As they approached, their equipment malfunctioned again. Cameras died, lights flickered, yet the phenomenon remained stable. One brave researcher stepped forward, reached out, and touched the field. He collapsed, but he wasn't harmed. When he awoke moments later, he was dazed but alert. He described what he saw. Not a place, not a time, but everything. All at once. A city of light, voices without mouths, hands made of thought. I saw our planet, but younger. And I heard a question. Not in words, but in silence. The team quickly realized what they were standing in was not a tomb, nor a relic. It was a machine, not one of gears or pistons, but of frequencies, energy, and consciousness. The ancient Egyptians may have revered their gods in the pyramids above, but here, beneath the earth, their predecessors, or perhaps their creators, had built something else. Theories exploded across the scientific community. Was this a consciousness amplifier? A portal? A memory archive of an extinct civilization? Some argued it was alien in origin. Others insisted it was human, but from a time so distant it had been erased from history. And then, evidence emerged that changed everything. Embedded within the chamber's walls were microscopic etchings, nanostructures far beyond Bronze Age capabilities. Under electron microscopy, they revealed layered circuits, not for processing data in the modern sense, but for manipulating waveforms, possibly brainwaves. That's when the term was first whispered, the Vault of Echoes, a construct that didn't store objects or even information, but experiences, emotions, thought itself. Governments took notice. The Egyptian military tightened security. The research team was split. Some wanted to go public, others feared weaponization. There were rumors of private bidders, corporations, intelligence agencies, offering billions to control the site. Meanwhile, strange phenomena began affecting the local area. People in nearby villages reported vivid dreams, migraines, sudden insights, children solving math they hadn't learned, elders speaking words from dead languages. Animals gathered near the site calmly, silently, day after day. The vault was no longer dormant. One final experiment was approved. A controlled exposure. A researcher volunteered to enter the ring and remain inside the resonance field for 1 full minute. They were connected to heart monitors, brainwave scanners, and a live video feed. What happened next was broadcasted to a closed group of top global scientists and later leaked online. At first, everything was normal. The researcher stood motionless. Then their body began to tremble. Brain activity spiked, gamma, theta, even unknown waveforms. They collapsed, convulsed, then lay still. Medical teams rushed in. The researcher awoke 10 minutes later, gasping. What they said sent a chill down every spine watching. I remember everything, not just my life. All lives. 1,000 civilizations. We weren't the first, we won't be the last, and we've been here before. They spoke of cycles, of rises and falls, of humanity ascending, then forgetting, of knowledge buried not by chance but by design. The vault wasn't a storage unit. It was a safeguard, a seed, a reminder, activated only when we were ready, or when we were close to making the same mistakes again. Then the field in the ring began to dim. Not fade. Dim, intentionally, as if it had said all it was willing to say. Shortly after, the chamber sealed itself again. The copper slit closed. The resonance fell silent. Whatever had been awakened had returned to rest. To this day, the Egyptian government has made no official statement. The site is listed as a restricted heritage zone. Satellite images are obscured. Researchers have been silenced, but the leaks continue. Whispers of resonance tech, mind interface archives, ancient warnings built into Earth itself, and the symbols found across the vault? They've begun appearing in other parts of the world. Subtle carvings in Andean caves, designs buried in Mesopotamian ruins, traces in the art of the Dogon, the Olmec, and even prehistoric Australian rock shelters. As if the vault was not the only one, as if the Earth itself is laced with them, sleeping, waiting, listening. And now one has spoken.